The most practical way to begin sharing Jesus in your daily life is to look around you and see the people in your life who you know who aren't Christians. And they're all around us. I have students that say, I would like to do Muslim evangelism. And they're thinking one day they can go to the Middle East or something like that. I say, do you drive a car? They say, yes. I say, where do you buy your gas? Because most of the gas stations around our house are run by Pakistanis who are Muslims. I say, do you pay at the pump or do you go inside? Why don't you go inside? Get to know their names. Matter of fact, take them cookies sometimes. You do that, they'll never forget your name. And have an ongoing conversation with them, a little bit at a time, every time you buy gas at that place. Eventually, you'll go there and there won't be a big crowd around, and as a result of that, you're able to talk with them a little more. And you begin to share Christ, and you begin to talk with them. That's one way. But the best way, I think, is as you begin to identify people in your world who don't know Jesus, start praying for them by name. You should have at least 10 people on your prayer list that you pray for every day who don't know Jesus. It might be somebody like your mailman who comes to your house every day. You don't have to go looking for them. When the mailman comes to my house and I'm home, I always say to them, do you need to use the bathroom? Sometimes just a human act of kindness can open up doors of conversation. I've had mailmen come by on cold days, and I say, can I get you something warm to drink? And they've come in and gotten a cup of hot tea or hot chocolate. Or they've used the bathroom. There was one mailman named Steve, and getting to know him over time, praying for him, I was able to lead him to Jesus. I said to him, hey, Steve, why don't you come to church with us on Sunday? He said, well, Jerry, I'm divorced. I only have my kids on the weekends. It's kind of tough for me to do that. I said, bring your kids. Our church has great programs for kids. They'll love it. And why don't you come over for dinner afterwards? Steve came, brought his kids, and I was able after dinner to lead his 2 boys to Jesus too. He was in my world. I didn't have to go looking for him. There was the garbage collector, Mike. He came by once a week, same time every week. I got to know him over time and was able to share Jesus with him. But it started with prayer. I'm praying for opportunity. I'm praying for conversation. I would always run out and have something cold for him to drink in the hot part of the year, something hot for him to drink in the cold part of the year. One day he came by late. He usually came by about 10. One day he came by about noon. I said, boy, Mike, you're here kind of late today. He said, yeah, I had trouble on my route. I said, well, it's about lunchtime. Did you eat lunch yet? He said, no, I haven't. I said, you want to come on in? I'll make you a sandwich. He said, oh, okay. And he came in. I didn't know those guys could do that, but he came in. Matter of fact, not only did he come in for lunch that day, he changed his whole route and came by at lunchtime every week after that. And every week I made him a sandwich and we would talk, and it was in that context I was able to share Christ with them. He had become a Christian when he was a little boy. In a backyard Bible club that a woman in his neighborhood who cared for the kids had thrown. And he prayed the prayer, he remembered it, but 2 weeks later his folks moved away from that neighborhood. Nobody ever followed him up. And I started to follow him up, got him a Bible. We had Bible study over lunch every week at noon on Fridays. It was wonderful. You can pray for people, and people who are on your prayer list, you don't have to get real aggressive with them. Just tell them once every 3 weeks or so that you're praying for them. I had a friend named Brad. He ran this restaurant in Santa Barbara, California when I lived there. I would eat at that restaurant 4 times a week, working lunches. And every time I worked there, I would say to Brad, hey, Brad, how are you doing? Hey, Brad, I like the mahi-mahi sandwich. I hope you keep it on the menu. Hey, Brad, did you catch the game last night? What'd you think? But 3 weeks would pass, and then I'd say, you know what, Brad, I pray for you every day. I didn't get any more aggressive than just telling him I prayed for him. I've never said that to a person and had them say back to me, well, would you stop it? He was impressed. 3 weeks later, small talk. After 3 weeks, I said, hey, Brad, I pray for you every day. He said, you know, you said that a few weeks back, but I didn't really believe you. But you must really be praying for me then. I said, I never miss. I pray for you every day. He said, Jerry, would you pray for my boys too? I wrote down the names of his boys. That night I went home and told my family, Brad asked me to pray for his sons. My daughter Alicia said, Dad, I know his one son. He goes to my youth group. I wish he could have been there 5 months later when Alicia came running home from the youth group to say to me, Dad, one of the guys brought Brad's son to youth group tonight and he gave his heart to Jesus. My kids know that God answers these kinds of prayers. Well, it kept on like that with Brad for about 9 months. Just every 3 weeks, not getting any more aggressive than saying, I prayed for him every day, just once every 3 weeks, and having small talk with him the rest of the times I saw him. One day he came up to me and he said, Jerry, I've got to talk to you after your lunch. We went down to a coffee shop and he poured out his soul to me. Why? We'd never had a deep conversation at all, but when things were unraveling in his life, he wanted to go to the one person that he knew prayed for him. I listened to him for about 3 hours. And afterwards I said, Brad, you know I think you need Jesus in your life. And I shared the gospel in about 4 or 5 minutes. He said to me, yeah, Jerry, I think I need Jesus too, but I don't want to give him my life like it is right now. I think I want to fix it first, then I'll give it to him. I said, well, Brad, that's not the way God usually does it. He usually likes to enter in first and fix us from the inside out. But you try it your way, and if it doesn't work, you let me know. And I went back to praying for him. Small talk for 3 weeks. Every third week, Brad, I'm praying for you every day. About 5 months later, he called me up at my office and said, Jerry, my way's not working. Can I come talk to you? And he came to my office. I never saw anybody use more Kleenex than this guy did when he invited Jesus into his heart. But it started with just praying. And once in a while telling him, and watching, and listening, and being attentive to what God might be doing in that situation as he starts to open up the heart and make this person ready to receive the great good news that God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself.